Hello and welcome to Of Mice and Princesses, where we take a magical journey through all the Disney animated features in chronological order. I'm your host Annie, a lifelong Disney fan, and for today's episode I invited both a die-hard fan and a first-timer when it comes to the movie we watched and talked about, Lilo and Stitch. Fries and Baja are here with me today in this episode that comes out almost exactly on the 2-year anniversary of the podcast. I can't believe it's already been so long. Thank you guys for either sticking around for so long or joining in on our trip through the movies along the way. We are so glad to have you. If you're not following us on Instagram yet, you should definitely head over there and find and follow us at Of Mice and Princesses, because there is a little surprise coming up in a few days, but more on that in the outro. For now, grab a surfboard and join Fries, Baja and me as we go on a Hawaiian roller coaster ride. Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers.
That was ridiculous.
Was it? Why?
It was so plonk, and that's it. Usually it's like pling, 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 pling.
Okay.
Maybe we should have taken the bigger glasses. But anyway, welcome to another episode of Mice and Princesses with two guests in the recording booth. It's Fries and Baja!
Hi.
It's so great to have you guys.
It's great to be back again.
Yes, I mean, for you were on in the last episode too, so.
True.
Our recurring guest. But Baja has also been on in thousands of our 42 episodes so far.
This is the 43rd?
42nd. No, it's like the movie. Is the movie is the 42nd. Yeah.
So this is.
It's 42. Dun dun dun.
That means nothing.
Anyways, before we get to the 42nd movie in the animated Disney canon, obviously we are turning to Fries for some guest intro questions. But today we don't want a top 3 from them. You're gonna have to answer a quiz.
Oh no.
Because it's not like you're being graded or anything. No, the title of today's quiz is Make a New Disney Kingdom and we'll tell you what role you'd play in a Disney movie.
Oh jeez.
It's multiple choice questions, don't worry.
Oh good.
There are no wrong answers.
Where is your kingdom? In the mountains, on an island, in the forest, or in the desert?
Island.
Choose a Disney castle to model yours after. Is it Jasmine Castle, the Beast's Castle, King Stefan's Castle, or Prince Eric's Castle?
Ooh. No, it's definitely Prince Eric's.
Prince Eric's. Here we go.
I mean, it matches the island vibe, so.
You see?
What's your favorite room in the castle? The library, the gardens, your bedroom, or the observatory?
The
Probably the gardens.
Okay, so not a room in the castle.
I'm dodging the questions already.
This will be hard to dodge because the houses in your kingdom are largely Tudor style, cottage style, colonial style, or Victorian style.
There are no houses.
Again,
Cottage, obviously.
Okay. So cottages, lots of cottages here.
What's the weather like? Snowy, hot and dry, cloudy and cool, or warm and windy?
Ooh, that's actually a good one. But I would probably go with warm and windy.
Warm and windy.
What natural landmark will draw some tourism? A big waterfall, caves, a rock formation, or beautiful beaches?
Oh, I love waterfalls. Gotta take the waterfall.
But see these beautiful rock formations here.
No.
Okay, a big waterfall.
If your kingdom was home to a magical creature, which would it be?
Everyone.
Okay, I don't have that option. Unicorns, mermaids, fairies, or dragons?
Oh, that's a good one. Dragons.
There be dragons. Who would you choose to lead the royal guard? Maximus, Shan Yu, Cobra Bubbles, or Hercules?
I think that's very easy, and everyone knows there's only one right answer, and it's Cobra.
Which holiday does the town get the most excited for? Christmas, Halloween, New Year's, or your birthday, of course?
Halloween.
Ooh.
That was fast.
It was the first time that someone said something else than your birthday.
Really? How can you not love Halloween the most? It's the best day.
Well, because
ever.
my birthday is my birthday. I'm sorry.
But spooky stuff.
You have to marry a royal suitor to secure a political alliance.
Oh, god damn it.
Who do you choose? Queen Elsa, Prince Naveen, Prince Eric, or Jasmine? I mean, it's his castle, right? But
Hans is not an option.
Guess he's
nah,
not.
I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I will actually take Jasmine then.
Okay, here we
Like strong woman, lead the country with me.
go. Strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
Finally, what's the biggest royal scandal? One of the royal advisors tried to poison the prince. The queen has scary powers. The princess's fiancé used to be a thief. Or the prince fell in love but forgot what she looked like.
Probably the poisoning stuff.
I love the image with it. Gotta be Yzma.
Yep.
You're the hero of this Disney movie.
Oh, hero.
Yes!
You might be facing some difficult circumstances right now, but with your bravery, smarts, and kindness, you're sure to have a happy ending.
Of course.
This is actually fun. So far, we've had 2 villains, 2 sidekicks, and 2 heroes.
Yay! Finally not the sidekick anymore. At least I'm the hero in my own story.
Yes, you are. We are the heroes of our time.
Whoa,
Looking forward to
whoa.
ESC.
Are you?
I always look forward to the ESC.
Okay.
But anyway, now let's get into today's movie. It is Lilo and Stitch.
Woo-hoo.
Have you guys seen this movie before?
No, first time for me.
About 1,000 times.
Yes, because it was in your top 3.
Yes.
It would have been weird for me to put it in my top 3, right? I've never
Probably,
seen
yeah.
it, but it's really good. Top
Man,
2.
Toy Story 3, favorite movie.
Any Toy Story,
Any Toy
actually.
Story for me. I mean, Toy Story 1, 2, 3 are my top 3.
Your top 3 Toy Story movies, right?
But not in order.
I have no idea. Like, I haven't ever never seen a Toy Story movie. I was just never interested at all. I was interested in Lilo and Stitch. I saw it in the movie theater when it came out. I even went solo because none of my friends wanted to go with me. So I had my parents drive me to the movie theater and watched it all by myself. I really liked it as a kid, but I never got it on VHS or DVD or anything, and I never rewatched it until very recently. I don't know why, because it's a nice movie.
So let me ask you this. Is there anything about the production you want to tell us? How much it cost?
No, I think it's Hilo time. No.
Okay, so
We are up the rails today.
let's do a switcheroo.
Anarchy!
Stitcheroo.
Yes, let's talk about some basics. This movie was released in June 2002, which means that this year it's the 20th anniversary, which is why there's a ton of Stitch merchandise everywhere right now.
Oh, that makes so much sense now.
It was directed by Chris Sanders, who is also the voice of Stitch,
Oh.
and Dean DeBlois. He's the other director, and together it was the first time for them directing, even though they had worked with Disney for a long time. It was produced by Clark Spencer, the music is by Alan Silvestri, but the soundtrack obviously features several songs from Elvis Presley and some other artists. It is 85 minutes long. It is a science fiction comedy about a havoc-wreaking alien and a quirky little girl bonding and becoming a family. This is one of the few Disney movies with an original story, and it is also one of the few films set in the time period that it was made in. It had a budget of $80 million, which at that time really was not much for a Disney movie. At the domestic box office, it made $145 million, and worldwide, it made over $273 million. So it was successful for Disney movies of that era, definitely. It was very well received. It got very good reviews. For example, one said, all the sentiment and charm you'd expect from a Disney movie, but easier to swallow thanks to mature themes and realistic characters. Specifically, Lilo's voice acting was praised, which I can understand. And it was also praised that it could appeal not just to kids, but also to teenagers through the character of Nani.
Nani.
I knew you'd have to do it at least once. It was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film, but it lost to Spirited Away. It had no Grammy or Gold Globe nominations. It had several Annie nominations, though, and Davy Chase, who's the voice actress of Lilo, won the Annie Award for Outstanding Voice Acting in an Animated Feature Production. And there were also various smaller awards and nominations for it. It was so successful that it set off a whole franchise. So this movie came out 2002. In 2003, there was Stitch the movie. Then this was basically the pilot of the series, Lilo and Stitch the series, which ran from 2003 to 2006. But in 2005, there was Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, which is set between Lilo and Stitch the movie. And on that DVD, there was a short film called The Origin of Stitch, which was a bridge between Lilo and Stitch 2 and Stitch the movie.
No, oh my god.
You following?
No,
You lost me.
not at all.
Sorry. And then after 65 episodes, that series ended with the movie Leroy and Stitch. in 2006.
Oh, yes.
And it wasn't just the West that went crazy for Stitch. It was definitely the East. Like, Japan is absolutely a Stitchophile, I guess. Like, even
Really?
yeah. And even today, like on Stitch Day, which is the 26th of June, because 626, experiment 626.
I see.
That you can get Stitch merchandise everywhere in Japan. So there were comics and there was a manga, because Japan, as I said, went crazy for Stitch. And Disney Channel Japan, and then it was also internationally available, released Stitch Meets High School Musical. Which is really just a short clip of them having a basketball game, several characters, and then doing "We're all in this together" with the dance and everything.
Okay.
Then in 2008 to 2011, there was an anime series with 3 seasons set on an island off of Okinawa with a little girl called Yuna and Stitch, which was set years after the original film, after Lilo had gone off to college. And then Stitch, traveled the world and landed in Okinawa and then had adventures with a different girl.
All of that went over my head. I never realized that this was a thing.
Oh, honey, we're not done.
That's only the beginning.
This is completely out of my bubble.
That's okay.
Wow.
And in 2017, there was Stitch and I, an American-Chinese production, which it was a series with 13 episodes set after the Leroy and Stitch movie, but on a separate timeline from the Japanese series.
So we're going multiverse now?
I guess you could say
Lilo
that.
and Stitch coming home? What is it, Far From Home?
Electric Boogaloo? I don't know. Obviously, there is tons of merch, and like I said, even especially now, if you go to Primark right now, you have a very big Disney collection, and right next to that, a very, very big Stitch collection. Someone's going to Primark. There were several video games, even video games that were only released to the Japanese market. Like I said, they went crazy. And there is a live-action remake, reportedly, in the works.
What?
Yes, it was announced in 2018, and throughout the last years, you always had like some info, like someone is joining the project,
great.
someone is dropping out of the project.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
that is being worked on. Great, right?
Yeah. Cool.
I love how this is just the universal reaction to every live-action remake.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a lot of good experience here.
Yep. So a bit about the history and the development and production. Disney CEO Michael Eisner wanted to produce a smaller, less expensive movie after they had all these high-budget and high-profile movies in the 90s, which was kind of inspired by Dumbo, which was a very, very low-budget production after Pinocchio and Fantasia had been very, very expensive in the 40s. Chris Sanders, who was at that point head storyboard artist at Disney, he had worked with Disney since the late 80s. He was approached to pitch an idea, and already while he was working on Mulan, he was one of the people writing Mulan, which is why there are several Mulan references in the movie.
Oh.
I have got none of them.
Nani has a Mulan poster in her room, and when they're walking in the street, you can see there's a Chinese restaurant, Mulan Wok.
Caught nothing on
That's okay.
none of them.
And while they were working on that, they were trying to, they were figuring out, okay, what are we going to do with Shan Yu? How is Shan Yu going to die? How are we going to kill off Shan Yu? And he was like, we are always talking about how to kill the villains. Why not redeem one for once?
No.
And he... No. Sorry.
So that's why in here we have no villains.
Yeah, not really.
In the end. Oh, okay.
And he had already created Stitch in 1985 as an idea for a children's book that never got made, unfortunately. Aww. And now he had to create a whole story and environment for it. And since he knew he was going to be this destructive little character, he knew it had to be in some remote location. So originally he was going to be in Kansas, in a very non-urban location. Until Sanders then decided to use the Hawaiian Islands, especially Kauai. Sanders himself said that animation has been set so much in ancient medieval Europe, so many fairy tales find their roots there, that to place it in Hawaii was kind of a big leap. But their choice went to color the whole movie and rewrite the story for us. So it really changed the whole progress of the whole story and what they were going for. So Dean DeBlois, who had co-written Mulan with Sanders, he was brought on to co-direct, and the Disney executive Clark Spencer, like I said, was brought on to produce. Then the pre-production team remained relatively small, and there was very little intrusion from upper management, which was very, very unusual for Disney productions. And that basically, they said they basically paid for freedom in story and development by settling for a smaller budget. So they said, we're not investing that much into it, just like go ahead and do what you can. Which also worked because this was the second movie that was done primarily in Florida, which was like this satellite studio away from the whole upper management in California. So they kind of felt like they had more freedom. And then after the first drafts, Schumacher told him, it's great so far, but it would be destroyed by the studio notes. So we're going to hide it until it's strong enough to withstand those notes. So they really, like when someone was asking from upper management, like, how's it going with Lilo and Stitch? Yeah, it's moving along. It's fine. But they didn't really like show them what they were doing because they were afraid that it would be made a lot tamer.
Okay.
Then rather than the usual storyboards, which are usually created for Disney movies, Sanders created a 15-page book with watercolor illustrations and introducing the plot and the characters. The plot, I mean, it was changed a lot from there, but the watercolor style and the characters remained basically the same from that. One of the major changes is, for example, the relation between Jumba, Jokiba, and Stitch, because originally Stitch was the leader of some intergalactic gang and Jumba was one of his cronies. And then, the council would have gotten hold of Jumba and be like, hey, come, you infiltrate him, you give us Stitch. And that changed a lot because test audiences didn't really respond to that well.
I think I've missed a lot of the character names. Jumba?
The one with the 4 eyes.
I see.
The creator.
The idiot scientist.
Yeah.
No.
He prefers evil genius.
Yeah.
I don't care.
So obviously they visited Kauai to research the location and the people, and they became very aware of the very hard task of combining the island's beauty with a very dysfunctional and impoverished life that the native Hawaiians lead. I actually really like this reference to the tourists that we see at several points. Like, I don't like it, but I think it's a very realistic depiction of the relation between tourists and Hawaiians. The tour guide, when they were going around with the tour guide, they found out that he knew someone everywhere they went. And then he explained to them the meaning of ohana, which is a sense of family that extends far beyond your just immediate relatives. And that turned out to become the whole theme and foundation and the thing that changes Stitch and evolves him away from this destructive personality. So that was really a changing point in the story. And that also led to adding the relation of Nani and Lilo as the central point of the whole story, especially since sister relations are very rarely seen or featured that much in animation movies. And they really appreciated that it countered all the wacky science fiction elements they wanted to bring into it. Then during writing, they had the voice actors Tia Carrere. Oh God, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right. She was the one who did Nani.
No,
really?
No, nothing.
Oh,
no.
You said you wouldn't hold back anymore.
Nani.
So.
Gotcha.
She is a native of Honolulu, and Jason Scott Lee, who is the voice actor for David, he was raised in Hawaii, and they assisted in rewriting the dialogue and the colloquial dialects and adding some Hawaiian slang into it.
Oh, that's great and very, very valuable.
Yeah.
Having someone in the team who is like native and can give actual, real good insights and opinions here. And when they are heard, I think it's very well put together, all of it.
I really like that they did that and listened to them. As far as I have read and with my little research that I did, Hawaiians, they tend to not think of this as a Hawaiian movie, but it's a movie about a cute little alien finding a family. They don't really relate it to their island that much, but at least they don't think it's insulting. That's good.
That's worth a lot today.
At least that.
Isn't it? Like I said, this from my research, if there's someone out there from Hawaii listening to this and you find it insulting, please tell me. I want to know more. We are going to listen. And yeah, like I said, the second movie to be produced in Florida mostly. And for decades now, Disney had done the backgrounds in their usual traditionally animated movies with gouache color rather than traditional watercolor paint. The last watercolor movies were actually in the 40s. And so when they were like, we're going to do the watercolor stuff, the artists were like, great, we're going to have to learn that.
It was Sleeping Beauty, wasn't it?
No, it was Bambi.
No,
Bambi
really?
yeah.
Okay. I thought.
Usually it is gouache that is used because it behaves a bit more predictable. So with the watercolors, they kind of took a risk, and people from the Californian studios, when they heard that they were doing that, they were like, you and your little pet project, yeah, right, you're gonna do that. And they really looked down on them. And then when it turned out, they really started to respect the Florida crew, Because the Florida studio, I don't know if you guys know that, it started out as there was a studio where people were animating stuff, and you could, as an audience, could go in and watch them through the windows. How
So
an
it was
animated
just
movie
for
was
display.
made. Initially, they planned to have actors do that just to like pretend to do it.
Yeah.
But then it was like, yeah, why don't you really create a short movie? And then it became longer movies, and then Mulan happened, which was a full movie done there. But since it was this smaller studio that was meant for display, it was a bit looked down upon by the other studios.
I would hate that.
Have
If
people watch you while you work?
Yeah, while I'm at work, like people are like, okay, come on, let's guide a tour. Come on. Look,
Now he's drawing the nose. Oh, that's a really big nose. Are you sure you want to keep it like that?
look at this guy sitting in front of his computer. Oh, he has 3 screens. I bet he must do so much very important work there. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he has WhatsApp open on one of them. No. Is that porn?
Zip it.
Anyway, getting back to Lilo and Stitch. Remember that movie?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, like I said, they had to relearn how to do watercolor backgrounds. The animation itself was almost all done in traditional 2D animation because the budget was way too low for excessive use of CGI. And it was also not really necessary for the style. And the characters are really based on just Sanders' own style rather than the typical Disney style. They look very different from other Disney characters. And the visual supervisor, Sue Nichols, completely analyzed and deconstructed that style and created a guidebook for all the artists.
Okay.
she called it Surf in the Sanders style. And Sanders himself said no one was more anxious to read that than himself.
Aww.
I saw some pages of it. Wyatt was nice enough to send me a link to some of the pages. And it's like, really, like when you know it, then you can really see it. Like the weight is way lower on the body. Like gravity is really doing the work on the characters. Everything is more pushed down rather than up. Nothing is really tall and slender. It's more like a bit...
Really, you think that?
They
Yeah.
have massive hips.
They
Everyone has massive
And
hips
thighs.
and thighs.
Yeah,
That's-
but legs for days. Everyone has like unrealistic huge legs.
But huge, not long.
Well,
they're
no, I mean
realistically
long.
wide.
I mean, they have the right proportions, but
Yeah.
they are really long.
I actually think they're not that long.
They
but...
had different proportions than before. Yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
And there's also a lot of waves in the characters and the bodies when you look at it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Stitch, one of the biggest things was do not make it too fluffy. And also when you pay attention to it, you can see that details like pockets and shadows, they are avoided whenever possible. So we don't really see like jeans pockets or something that we would see in a different movie. And this is also why the movie
True.
takes place in a lot of shaded areas. So there's no shadows
What?
because they simply didn't have the budget and the time to do details
Okay,
like that.
I see.
And so they saved those for the really important scenes with a lot of impact. For example, they had a second shirt designed for Nani, and since they didn't have the budget to put it somewhere, she always wears the same shirt, but you can see it in the laundry basket.
Oh.
And then when the movie was almost done, especially the final climax in September 2001, well, 9/11 happened. Originally, Stitch was meant to hijack a plane, so the red spaceship in the end was actually a Boeing 747.
Oh wow.
And there was a very cartoonish chase scene with the plane, with them flying over a city and bouncing from building to building while they were chasing. And
I see.
yeah. And they were like, oh, fuck, what are we gonna do? They brought in like Roy Disney, they brought the higher ups, and then in the end, De Blois came up with a solution that's turned it into a spaceship. But it still has very Boeing 747 elements, like the cockpit looks like it, and the motors.
Yeah, but it looks spaceshipy enough.
Yeah. They thought this is gonna cost us a ton of money. So in the end, when they were done with that, they still had a lot of time and money. So they were like, we can make 2 more minutes of movie. So they made the epilogue. The whole epilogue where it shows how they celebrate Christmas and Halloween together. That wasn't originally planned in the movie.
Okay.
But they had the time and the money to do it, so they did. And I think it's really nice.
It is a nice addition.
Yeah. So that was how the movie was made. And then it came to marketing. And when they made the first trailer for it, the family and friendship theme, which is the core message of the movie, was very central in the first drafts. And it made the movie seem very sugary and sweet.
Yeah, but I guess it didn't caught the mischievous nature of our hero Stitch here, huh?
That's true. So they made some teasers that showed Stitch as basically the black sheep of the Disney family.
Jesus.
Yes. Stitch invading some classics and, changing the stories of some of the most romantic and beautiful scenes. For example, Ariel singing on the rock, up where they walk, up where they run, and then a big wave comes. I think this is my favorite one actually, because Stitch comes surfing the wave, Ariel like dives down, comes back up, takes a starfish and slaps him in the face with it. I was singing here. Oh my God, I love it so much.
But he invaded the Beauty and the Beast too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. They were dancing under the chandelier, and Stitch.
I was so like, oh God, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be really good. Because we see Stitch like crawling up to the big ass chandelier that they have there, and it is actually like cracking and breaking off and falling down. But in the last moment, Beast saves Belle and himself.
But excuse me, what did you want to happen in that scene?
I don't want to talk about this. So they're jumping to the side, nobody dies. And Belle is doing what everybody thinks Belle would do. She's getting up and says like, I'm going up
I'll be in my room.
I'll be in my room. What?
Get your own movie.
Instead of, an alien! What should we do? It's gonna eat us! What? It's like, okay, that happened. Get him out. Get your servants to reattach the big ass chandelier again, because I not helping this, because I read books.
Oh my God, what if the chandelier was actually like alive? Because the house appliances.
Oh my God.
Maybe someone did die.
What if the floor was alive? I don't know. It's very weird magic laws in Beauty and the Beast. But let's not talk about this. But all of them really self-referential humor. It looks very good on Disney. Actually.
Absolutely, yeah.
Being for once like this self-referential and being like, what is it?
A bit cheeky.
Yeah, let's call it cheeky. And that it really this whole thing, this marketing campaign, all of it completely went over my head. 2002, I was 17. All of this, it would have been very enjoyable. Mm-hmm. But I was 17. I guess I was a teenager who doesn't connect to Disney anymore.
Yeah,
because
you were too cool for that at the
that's
moment.
kid stuff. I don't care. But now I was not to foreshadow anything, but I really like the movie.
Mm-hmm. So, just a quick note on the voice actors. We have Chris Sanders as Stitch, as we already said. Davy Chase as Lilo, which, like I said, she got an award for that. She was actually also Chihiro in Spirited Away, which is funny because Lilo and Stitch lost to Spirited Away.
So she won anyway.
And she played Samara in the American The Ring remake and the sequels.
No, yes. I hated the American remake. I'm sorry.
I've never seen it. I've also never seen the Japanese movie. I've only read the book. And it was a big mistake. It was creepy.
Movie is not creepy at all. Really not. I was kind of disappointed, but...
No. I played a video game that is like some jump scares in it.
It's a horror game. It is a horror story.
Yeah, but it wasn't horror-y. It wasn't. I played it. She didn't. She just heard some of it.
Yeah, I was sitting here doing jigsaws.
She had nightmares after that.
Oh my God.
Nightmares. Horror works differently for this woman, which isn't bad at all. She just can't enjoy it the same way. And that's okay.
You gotta know, I started with 13, my horror movie shit, and my horror anime shit, and my horror kind of everything shit.
Okay.
I just watched horror non-stop. I read it, I watched it non-stop. Jesus. At least one movie a day or an episode of something or some stuff. Yeah,
wow.
Actually, I kind of got addicted.
That is addiction.
So today when I watch horror, I'm kind of like...
Desensitized.
Hit me, bitch.
Yeah.
You are desensitized.
So when I watched The Ring, I sat there like, okay.
We have Tia Carrere as Nani, as we said. We have David Ogden Stiers as Jumba Jakiba, Kevin McDonald as Pleakley or Plakely, and I don't know what to call him because he calls himself Plakely, but the councilwoman calls him Pleakley, so...
Yeah, but she consistently...
mispronounces names.
Yeah, so... in German, it actually is Pleakley. They all call him that. He even calls himself that, but in the original, it's actually
Plakely, yeah. We have Wing Ramis as Cobra Bubbles. He was in Pulp Fiction. He was Mia's husband.
Of course. Mia's husband has a name. Mia's husband.
Wallace. What's his first name? Is it also something with W? Why? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. And then we have Jason Scott Lee as David. He was in the Mulan remake, actually. Oh. And he played Bruce Lee in Dragon the Bruce Lee story. But other than that, there is nothing that I really know all these people from. So that's all that I have on the surroundings of this movie, I guess. So shall we get into the movie?
Yes.
So yeah, we start on Planet Turo. We are at court where Dr. Jumba Jakiba, the lead scientist, is accused of illegal genetic experimentation. And he claims his work is only theoretical and legal while the spaceship brings Stitch in. And then he's like, I only did this one thing.
He is accused of, and then he admits to creating something very evil. Something that would destroy everything. Why isn't that guy terminated on the spot? He is obviously deranged. What is this? This was so weird to me. Well, in the end,
we learned that aliens are all about the rules, and maybe the rules say you can't just kill people. Maybe they don't have death penalty in space.
I
That's
think
a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Well, if you look at it like this, they said that humans are a lower species, and we had the death penalty. So they obviously think if they are higher ups, they can't have that. Yeah, they have to like have different punishments.
Look at us making sense of things.
Yeah. So that's my reason, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, yeah. So the Stitch is brought in, and he introduces Stitch as being very forceful, as he can carry his own or push his own weight like 1,000 times.
He's fireproof.
He is undestroyable.
Can see in the dark.
Yeah. So,
and his instinct is to destroy everything he touches. And he is actually, we learn later, he is made to destroy big cities. So he is drawn to big cities.
He is made to destroy everything. How?
I also think it's so weird how everyone's like, this is so disgusting. Have they looked at themselves? They look like sea creatures on legs.
So the councilwoman asks Stitch to say anything that could show that he's a good thing. And he says something that we don't understand.
Yes.
But all of them, and it seems to be something very, very brutal.
Yes, so nasty that a robot starts throwing up.
Yeah.
And two of the other aliens just faint on the spot.
All the slurs they have in their language.
And I also love how she's like, naughty.
Yeah, but what would that be? That two of them would faint, one would spill, and she would just go like, naughty. I mean, there's nothing comparable in our reference.
Well, I would tell
right?
you, but if I did that, all the people listening to the podcast would start vomiting and fainting. I can't do that right now. Well, yeah, the scientist is put under arrest and Stitch is to be taken away, banished to exile on a desert asteroid. Which seems like a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Why is it not destroyed on the spot? I mean, it is made to destroy.
Yeah, but you also say he's kind of indestructible, so maybe they didn't maybe they didn't even bother to try.
Well, I mean, they have these guns there to shoot him. So.
I forgot that. Yeah,
like,
but they couldn't kill him.
Plaguely says all the time, we can't waste our resources.
No, they could just...
But they do!
They could just throw him in water, just have him drown.
I guess.
But they're in space. They don't have water,
No space, water.
Let's bring them to our execution planet, Earth.
You wouldn't believe how many aliens there are in the Marianengraben.
Mariana's Trench is full of dead alien bodies.
Okay, I think at least now we know what is there. Let's not go there. It's creepy down there.
Wait, did you actually listen when they tried to locate him? Because they said like this and this solar system and stuff, and then what area? Area 51.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Then it is called Earth.
But we come to that, right? So for the moment, Stitch is like in chains or something.
Yeah.
But he just breaks himself free.
He does break himself free. But I actually found it was really fun. Like, they took some of his DNA, like some of his pink blood, I guess, and put it into the machine. So the machines are meant to shoot him. And then he tricks them by just spitting. So the machines shoot his saliva and he can break free. I thought it was really genius. I love that.
I think it was important, actually, to show what he's capable of. Because Jamba said he's smart, like a supercomputer, can think so fast.
Yeah,
and then,
that's true.
And he did. He actually figured it out so fast.
Yeah, that's true. Because, weapons of mass destruction, even if they're like in a movie, some kind of animal or something, they're usually dumb. They just break stuff. But no, he breaks with the system and with smarts.
And he is indestructible and they take his blood.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue.
But yeah, he manages to escape. There's this big chase scene with a police cruiser, and then he's followed by hundreds more, and then he activates hyperdrive, and they track that he lands on Earth.
So funny.
And he's supposed to land on Kauai. Although at first it seems like he's just gonna land in water, and they're like, oh, he's gonna drown, and then it zooms in, and it's the islands, and they're like, oh, shit.
So he lands on Kauai in 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
And we
then
see...
she's like, we're gonna have to gas the planet. And then Blakely comes in, and he's like, no, we can't do that, because Earth is used as a protective wildlife reserve to repopulate mosquitoes.
So good.
And at that moment you think, why mosquitoes? And in the end...
It pays off.
It comes back. That joke paid off in the end.
Yeah,
it really made, like, well, made sense is a bit too overestimated, but...
Kind of made it for me.
But that worked. So yeah.
I actually found it more funny how invested Blakely was in the mosquitoes. Like, he was so fascinated by them. He loved them so much. Probably had posters and shit up in his room.
Well, yes, always these dia show thingies that you can take around with you, and they show pictures from Earth.
He's such a fangirl.
I love how she's like, is it an intelligent life form? Oh god, no. Every time they get hit by an asteroid, they have to start from the start again.
So the councilwoman and Blakely, they go to what I thought at first was the collection of the other experiments from idiot scientist
Jamba
guy.
Jakiba?
I will not memorize this name.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
But it's obviously some kind of prison.
Yeah.
And he's in there. And the idiot scientist has the newspaper, which says idiot scientist does something.
Yeah.
How? He's in a tiny cell.
I think they actually gave it to him just to spite him.
Look at that, you're in the newspaper.
As a form of punishment.
And then
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
And
right?
he hits it.
And I actually really like how they come in and he immediately is like, he escaped. He knows what's up. So he is sent to Earth so that they can extract experiment 626, because if they would just go in and get him, then Earth would be disrupted because they would see us, and we cannot have that. And the only one who knows enough about Stitch is Jumba, so they have to send him, and they give him a plasma cannon. Sure.
Blakely and him team up.
Yes.
And they go to Earth.
To Earth to extract Stitch and protect Earth in the process.
Save the mosquitoes.
So now we get some Hawaiian singing and music. It's Hemele no Lilo, that's the name of the song. And we get some hula dancing from some beautiful women, and we see Lilo swimming, and then she runs. We actually see a fish with a sandwich swimming by, who we later learn is Pudge. And then she runs out of the water and is running somewhere, but taking the time to take a picture of a very sunburned tourist who just wants to eat his mint chip chocolate ice cream.
God, poor guy.
Yes.
Some white guy with a lot of sunburn.
And then the children come on stage to join the dance at the hula, where the hula dance is. And then Lilo is very late and makes the stage all wet because she's still wet from the beach. And so they dance really well, but in the end, one of them slips. Yeah, then it turns out that Lilo always takes the sandwich to the fish, Pudge, because Pudge controls the weather. And there is a deleted scene that we did not get to see, which would have been later on, where Lilo actually takes Stitch to Pudge and introduces him. And Stitch semi-accidentally kills Pudge.
Oh, no.
He smacks him away, and then seagulls attack him and Lilo.
No!
And Stitch just laughs and watches. And then, the fish dies, and Lilo actually screams at him like, "What is wrong with you? You don't let your family die, never!" And then Lilo buries the Pudge next to her parents, and this is how Stitch learns about loss, and he actually gets really sad.
Jesus.
And we did not get to see the scene, I think because Stitch comes off as very, very sadistic in the beginning. I mean, the message is still pretty good, and I think that this scene would have paid off because we would have had something about Pudge that would come later on, because it's kind of weird to have him only begin in the beginning and nothing happening later on. And I think it would have explained, or not explained, but I think it would have made it kind of a round story, because the reason why she feeds Pudge because he controls the weather is because her parents died on a rainy evening.
Oh, okay.
So she wants Pudge to be happy, so the weather is happy, so Nani doesn't die or nothing happens to the people she loves. And I think that would have been, if we could have had it without Stitch being a sadistic little bitch, that would have been great. But yeah, so we don't get that scene. And Myrtle, the redhead, says that she's crazy. And then they just fight. And I remember sitting in the cinema and being like, what the fuck? Because I think this is the first time we see that Lilo is really... It's
violent.
It's kind of weird to say that, but she's not like the other girls.
The first thing we see is that she jumps at this girl, like punching her in the face. I mean, we get the sense that Lilo is the outcast of the group, but she doesn't help by jumping them and punching them in the face.
Yeah.
As a therapist, I gotta say that's a typical trauma response.
That violent?
Violence. Yeah.
Okay.
Extreme violence, yeah. To being abused or having lost, like, the most important people in your life.
Okay.
Which she kind of did. And there's one more part that actually, like, stuck with me. We sometimes have these small scenes where we see that she actually had to grow up a little... Faster, yeah. Mm-hmm. And one of those scenes was actually when the dance instructor asked her why she was so late. And she said, yeah, it was sandwich day and I had to get peanut butter and stuff. And he is like, what? She sighs in this very exasperated way that only adults can really do.
Yeah. I'm really gonna have to explain this to you, don't I?
like why is he so stupid? Why doesn't he get it when I say sandwich day? My God, it's so clear.
But I guess I can't blame Lilo that much because the other girls, well,
they're
usually
bitches.
Because usually little kids don't help when you lose your parents, right? I guess she was an outcast from the start or from the beginning. At that moment, it struck me. With Disney movies, it's always either they want to fit in so hard or they want to break out so hard and find something new. It's either one of them.
Well, I feel like usually the story is like they want to fit in, but in the end they learn that the fact that they don't fit in is what makes them special.
Okay, yeah, I see.
And I feel like we see that Lilo is actually really torn between like being very sure in who she is and what she does, but also wanting to fit in because she fights this girl and right after class she's like, can we play with the dolls together? Like she does want to fit in, but also she does not want to like conform. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she only has a self-made doll, so she cannot join the other ones. Even though
all of them have dolls that look like themselves.
Yep.
It's kind of freaky.
And like they're like Barbies, and she has the self-made Scrum. Is that the Scrum? Yeah. And with a very twisted backstory.
Yeah.
But at least it has a backstory, right?
Which kind of fits the vibe of her being like very different and a little too grown up.
She just came out of surgery.
Surgery, yeah, with because the spider lay eggs in her ear and stuff. That's some like where did she get that? Like,
I think she watched Nightmare Before Christmas one time too many.
Something like that.
But yeah, when now Lilo's sister is looking for her, but Lilo has already left because she wanted to play with the dolls, but it didn't happen. So she went home. And Nani is running around looking for her, almost getting run over by a car of Cobra Bubbles, as we learn later. And yeah, she arrives at the door, and Lilo is very depressed and listening to Elvis inside and has nailed the door shut. I don't know.
Yep.
So yeah, and then Nani tries to get in, and while she's doing it, she's like ranting at her, when I get in, I'm gonna put you in the blender, and I'm gonna serve you, and I'm to the social worker, and then when he asks what is in there, I'm gonna say it's, and then she gets dragged out by Cobra Bubbles, and it's like, love.
Who is the social worker? Who claims to be the social worker?
I think he actually is a social worker.
As we learn later.
Yeah.
Maybe CIA was just too crazy.
Yeah, and in that visit from the social worker, just everything seems to go wrong. Then at some point, Lilo gets into the conversation and Nani tries to sign to her what she's going to say behind Cobra Bubbles' back. And then she starts out saying what she's supposed to do, but then things kind of go wrong.
Which is very hilarious. Well done. This is really well done. This was very humorous.
Because it really starts out so well. Like, I eat 4 meals a day. I look left and right when I cross the street. And then I get disciplined. Yeah, I get disciplined.
5
times a day.
With the breaks.
Just puts it into a pillowcase.
It's great. It's just so great.
Yeah, and Cobra, as a watcher of this movie, you're like, there's something off with this guy. What?
He works as a social worker, but he has not put off the air of the CIA agent.
He looks like secret agent guy and is supposed to be a social worker. Usually social workers are working in pairs. Why? Because they are working with people that are tending to be extreme, and to secure one each other, they are coming up in pairs. So this movie works differently.
Well, I mean, this is a very remote remote island. Maybe they just have less
They
staff
don't.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, it's remote, but he has a lot of time just shadowing Nani and what she's doing.
Well, like I said, there's not much going on that island. Maybe he's just like, okay, I'm going to leave her now. Takes a turn. Oh, there she is again.
It works both ways, you're right.
Lilo-
He gives her an ultimatum.
Yeah,
So-
he gives her 3 days. And before that, he actually visits Lilo in the living room where she is practicing voodoo with spoons.
This is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, I swear.
Really, it went so over my head. What was this about?
He enters the living room and Lilo is sitting on the floor and creating like little versions of the other girls with spoons.
Yeah.
And the first thing you see next to her is a practicing voodoo book. There are some jokes that are definitely not for kids in this movie, like exactly this scene. And of course, I never understood when I was younger. And this one time I watched the movie with 16 and I just sat there like, fucking hell!
She wants to drown those girls in pickles.
Yeah, because she just puts the spoons, who now resemble her friends, into the fucking pickle jar and shakes it like there's no tomorrow. And Cobra just looks at her and she just, very, very dead face, looks at him and is
then,
like, my friends have to be punished.
And she gives her his card and she just takes it in the hand with a jar and shakes again. It's great.
The question
And
still
I think
stands,
it's
why
like-
does she have a book like that?
The question still stands, why does she call them her friends? She really does not have that many kids as on the island, I guess.
Just because of that.
Yeah.
There are not many alternatives to them.
Yeah.
So they
No one
have
else in
to
her
be
age.
my friends.
Yeah.
I also
guess.
think she's very afraid of loss.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
Yeah,
like,
must
she
be.
lost
Maybe
she
maybe
lost
they used to
someone.
be friends, but then she started to change because of what happened to her, and
Yeah.
then her friends maybe alienated her, but to her, they are still her friends. Maybe that's it.
Mm.
So yeah, Bubbles gives Lilo his number, and then he leaves, and Nani has the 3 days now. So now Nani like chases her, like immediately the door closes behind Bubbles, and Lilo just screams. Those are some soundproof doors.
Yeah.
And then they chase around the house, and then in the end, Nani traps Lilo with a blanket. And like we see Lilo come out of this cupboard with a pizza box. And that was actually, in the original, it was a dryer. And at first, when they showed it on television, it was cut out entirely. But in the UK version, it was edited to be this cupboard with a pizza. Because children shouldn't be encouraged to hide in dryers.
Yeah.
So this is why now it
a
is
lot
this...
of accidents happen there.
Yes. This is why now it is this cupboard with a box of pizza. And so they talk, and Nani, like, actually, they don't talk, they just scream at each other, and Nani asks her if she wants to be taken away, and Lilo is really unhappy, but so is Nani, and they fight, and they both end screaming into pillows.
And this is the moment where I realized that this is a really, really realistic depiction of how kids behave and how you are as a teen or something like, or even an adult, sometimes really unable to communicate the dramatic
severity of a situation.
And what there is to do. Lilo is like behaving in this moment very realistically to how real kids would respond. Nothing of this is important to me. These are my problems, and
not seeing the big picture.
Well, they're seeing a different picture. They're seeing a big picture, but it's
It's
only theirs.
Yeah, it's biased.
Yeah.
And as an adult or a teenager, you are like, none of this makes sense. None of this has really weight. Who cares about this fish?
But I also think that it really shows a really realistic depiction of a teenager having to cope with having a lot of responsibility. Caring for a child. Nani is just really overwhelmed. She doesn't know what to do. And I think it really comes through in that moment when Lilo is already in her room and she just screams, "Get into your room." Obviously, it's nonsensical, but it is what parents do to their children.
Exactly.
Like, go up to your room.
It's just
the
the
only
phrase
thing
she's come to.
Yeah.
Like this
it's
is
the only thing she knows of how to punish a child, because probably it has been done to her when she was a child and did something bad. So now it's the only thing she knows and the only thing she can do. She just doesn't know what to do anymore. Like you said, it's a really realistic depiction, and I think this is why this movie speaks to so many people.
I think that's what makes the movie really different. And I think that the big part of that was actually that they had so much freedom with it. Like, we have so many movies where even little kids are like so tame because like they want to encourage children to be like behaving well and be the best version of themselves, which is good, but kids act
It's
out.
not
They need
realistic.
to test their limits. That's part of their development. That's just how
growing
it
up.
is. Yeah. I love Do You Want to Build a Snowman? But in the moment where Anna stands at the door knocking and Elsa's like, go away, Anna. And Anna's okay. Normally Anna would have been like, open the motherfucking door! I love that movie so much. I'm sorry. I love Lilo and Stitch just for that. It's so good.
It is really good. And I also love how we see the reconciliation, because at night, Nani brings her some pizza and Lilo is sad and she asks her, like, are we broken? Are we a broken family? And I also really like this line where Lilo says, I prefer you as a sister rather than as a mom.
I do too. And it shows, again, that for some aspects, Lilo is just so grown up for 6 years old. Like, to even say that, are we broken? That's a sentence no sheltered child would ever say.
No, wait. It would, because her friends, they hear their parents say they live in a broken home. And then their friends are like, you live in a broken family.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is how kids come to that terminology. They hear it from somewhere. They don't know what it means, or at least...
They parrot it. They just parrot it.
Yeah.
And then they ask their parents because they hear it. Are we a broken family? As an adult, you're like, you know what it means. And there's so much gravity in that question. But for her, it's like, are we... What does it mean? Something like this. So this is actually, in my mind, a question that a kid would say when they are confronted with it.
Fair.
And I guess she was. So they are.
Yeah.
Actually. But who would say that? Yes, we are. who would do that?
A little bit.
Nani tries to tell her that they can do it.
This scene is so, for me in this movie, so important and so beautiful. And it was actually meant to be different, because originally this was a scene where she would be like, it's bedtime, story time. So Nani would come and brush her hair, and then Lilo would actually tell herself basically a story about a stinky bear named Toaster. And then it was changed because the test audiences, especially in that scene, it didn't really come through that they were sisters, because Nani seemed too much like a mother. And so they changed it to what it is now. But I think it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Lilo tells Nani that she beat up Myrtle and talks about how people treat her different, and they both promise to behave and not scream anymore. And also now we see that wall in her room where we see all these photos of the fat purists.
Of white
They are so
people.
beautiful. Yeah. And then they see a green thing on fire fall from the sky, and Lilo kicks Nani out to make a wish.
So it must be now 3 hours later, because as we know, Stitch lands on Earth. And
Exactly.
Lilo thinks of it as being a falling star and tries to make a wish. So she kicks out Nani, which is at that moment really showing the good dynamic between them.
Yes.
Because instead of just leaving, she's like, oh, what are you going to do, huh? That's
Gravity
you wanna
is
do that?
pulling me
Oh,
down.
God, I
it's all the
cannot.
food I ate.
It's really well done. It's really, in that moment,
It's so
really
playful. It's really cute.
good. It's really well captured, the dynamic between these two. And when she finally kicks her out, she makes a wish. She wants a friend.
A
She wants
trusty friend or angel who would
which
never leave.
Nani hears, and as we then can later connect, just makes the decision for herself. She needs a dog.
Yes. Now, for a moment, we see what happens with Stitch, because he emerges from the broken spaceship and he shoots stuff and gets rained on, tries to shoot the rain. And then he is run over by trucks and wakes up in a dog shelter, where we now meet up with Lilo and Nani again, because they're there to get a dog. Stitch escapes from the dog shelter and then gets discovered by Jumba and almost gets shot, so he runs inside again.
He pulls back all his other limbs and his antennas and other alien features. So he looks like a dog. And she, of course, chooses him, and she settles on the name Stitch. And out of nowhere, this woman who makes the
Adoption papers,
she says, Stitch is not a name for a dog. What?
Bitch, what the fuck?
Really? What? Why?
But Blackie is!
Did you understand that?
No, I don't know.
Of course this is a name for a dog.
It's a child. What did she expect? Her name in fucking Steven?
Lilo and Steven.
So
I can't really see it.
So this is Andrew, my dog. What the fuck? So yeah, that was
they adopt the dog, and
that
I
was
also
one of my gripes.
I'm a bit weirded out by the fact that she's like, it was dead this morning. Then why was it still in the dog shelter?
That's a good question. Also, for a person who presumably worked for a lot of years in a dog shelter, how did she think this was a dog?
This is not a dog, I think. But just in case, let's get this dead thing in.
Like it had 3 arms.
Maybe she wanted to do some
4.
experiments on him.
No,
4
3
arms.
on each side.
Oh, that's what you mean. It's 3 pairs.
Yeah, 3 pairs of limbs on each side.
Because I mean, this little detail that when he woke up, all the other dogs in the same kennel were like, "Oh my god, what is this? What is this?" Because they know this is not a dog. What is this? It was fun.
I actually found it really cute how Stitch, like, he saw this picture of this girl hugging the dog, so he tried to do the same as in the picture. And then he was like, hi, and he's like, hi.
And also, speaking for his case again, that he's super fucking smart.
Yes, he is, yeah.
Like, he saw that and was like, oh, this is how this planet runs. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they all tell her to get a different run, but she insists on Stitch, so
Obviously.
she gets Stitch. They adopt him for $2. I love the scene where, like, Nani gives her $2 and then Lilo's like, I want to buy him. Can you lend me $2? So Nani takes the $2, gives them to Lilo. Lilo gives the $2 to Nani because she's too small. So Nani gives the $2 back to the adoption lady.
This is such a child thing to do.
It is so cute, though.
It's great. It's great. I love when children do that. Like, I want to pay it. It's mine.
Can you give me some money?
It's great. It's
So
great.
they go out and Jumper and Blakely see him, and then Blakely saves Lilo because she's part of the mosquito food chain, so she can't be shot. So now Stitch knows that he can always hide behind Lilo. So they walk around the street. This is where we see the Mulan walk, the restaurant.
And we learn that they now try to blend in, try to hide from finding out, which is another gripe of mine. But we are coming to that.
They walk past some, like, electronics, thank you. Electronics shop, and there are, like, TVs showing these old monster movies.
Yeah.
And Stitch starts to reenact them because, I mean, he sees what he is planned to do. He has to destroy the big cities. And Lilo sees her friends in quotations and apologizes. It is not accepted, and she introduces Stitch, who just gets insulted and steals the bike.
And then Stitch and Lilo. Stitch is running with his bike all over the island from one end to the other. As we hear simultaneously, like, he will try to get to large cities. And this great line comes from Lilo. Oh, isn't that awesome that we live on an island without big cities?
Stitch is so done. But also, next question. Like, obviously, Lilo knows how pets work. If your dog is riding a trike, that should be concerning.
You just think it's really talented.
Of course. I mean, some dogs can skateboard, but a trike?
Yeah. Well, she immediately takes him for her best friend, so at least this works out. But
she's probably just, this one sticks with me. I'm just gonna accept it, everything he does.
Yep.
But for me, in that moment, it was so problematic because his whole deal is killing and destroying everyone on this planet, which, I mean, it would include her in the long run. But she is like, you're my best friend. We're getting along so well.
This is your typical enemies to friends
trope.
So I guess
Although we see it at several points that she starts to get kind of worried, but then she always plays along. So next we are at a luau. We learn that Nani and David both work at the luau. David is doing a fire show, and Lilo is, I guess, with Nani and in the staff tent doing some, like, drawing. She draws Stitch and shows him how bad he is because his bad level is, like, up to his eyes, and that he's a bad dog and she needs to fix him. So David, after setting the stage on fire, tries to ask Nani out. She is a waitress working there. And Lilo tells him that Nani likes his butt and fancy hair because she knows from Nani's diary. Also a very teenage sister move, reading the diary. Jumba now baits Stitch with a chicken leg wrapped in something.
We see them both there.
It's like an alien
Wait a minute. We see them both there at the luau. Yeah. And you think, like, oh, there are two aliens that earlier tried to say we have to blend in, and they are now there.
Well, they are in disguises.
They are in completely great disguises because this one-eyed alien had a wig on and a dress, but it's still a one-eyed alien. So after their ruse with this very weirdly colored meat didn't really work out, David comes over, is it?
I don't know, is it Nani who comes and tries to pull Nani up? Because Stitch just bites Blakely's head. Just completely bites the head. It looks so violent.
Yeah.
It's
and
insane.
he even strengthens.
Yeah, he bites down on it again.
Yeah.
Even harder. It's what? This is traumatic.
You think that this guy is really in pain, but no. He pulls out his head completely with his wig from Stitch's mouth, and I think Nani is there.
Nani, because she gets in trouble then.
Nani looks at that couple and is completely like going along with it. I'm sorry that will never happen again.
Your head looks swollen.
Your head looks swollen. But
maybe that's what she thinks. The other eye is just so small in comparison.
But shouldn't she say, "Ma'am, you only have one eye,"
and a very unhealthy complexion?
And I see your
husband has four of them.
Your guy over there has
maybe
four
he could
eyes.
give you one.
This is completely normal. In that moment for me, it was like, they have to see that these are aliens. Why are we going along with this? But it's the tone of the movie, as I learned later. It's just like, okay, now this is normal.
Maybe this island is really secluded.
Maybe this island is just really weird.
Maybe
they see
tourists. It all. But how did they not get in panic? How did they not scream aliens or something like that?
Because we have to focus on the big things. It's Nani's dog, so she's the bad guy here, and she has to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And Nani is fired over this. But she actually quits, right?
Well, no, she is fired, but then she tells when they go home, she obviously doesn't want to tell Lilo, yes, it's your fault and your dog's fault that I got fired. So she's like, no, I quit because he was a vampire and I didn't want to become one of his legion, so I quit. And Lilo's like, I knew it. So when they come home, this is the first time actually that Stitch is in their home, which feels like it's been a long time. And Stitch is just being a menace, destroying everything. And Lilo still calls him an angel. And I think Lilo just really sympathizes because he's an orphan as far as she knows, and she is an orphan.
She's attached so hard.
And this is where we hear it for the first time because Nani is like, we're gonna have to give Stitch away, we have to bring him back. And then this is the first time that we hear Lilo say, Ohana means family. And then they together say, family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. So Stitch now can stay. And she brings him up to her room and gives him coffee.
Good idea.
Of course. Yeah.
And I love how he just gets into her bed. And she has a family photo under her pillow and obviously is like, don't touch that. Lilo then, after he has destroyed everything in her room, is like, why don't you make something for a change? And he builds San Francisco. And I love how she's just like so deadpan. Oh, San Francisco. As if he did not just create it out of stuff.
Been there, done that.
out of books, actually, for the most part. In that moment, it's a really great visual storytelling. We learn out of this short moment that Lilo has a fuck ton of books.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to assume that she read all of them. And she's very well read.
And actually later on we see that a lot of these books are for different hobbies. Like we have fire swallowing, fire, I don't know what it's called when you spit and, and the other one was something with fishing. Is it for you? So she probably has tried a lot of stuff, but she just hasn't really found something that sticks as much as, for example, hula dancing does, because she does love hula dancing.
As a 6-year-old girl.
Well, yeah, but still, I think it's unusual for a 6-year-old girl to read books about, I don't know.
To read books, period.
I did read when I was 6.
Yeah,
much?
But maybe
about
not.
These topics?
No.
See, actually, I don't know if you know this, but she is the only one of the smaller girls who actually smiles and seems to have fun while dancing.
She's the only one with her
others
mouth
just look
open.
like they're fucking tortured there, and Lilo's having the time of her life.
I read something about that in the series or in one of the sequels, it is revealed that her mother, when she was her age, won an award for being the best hula dancer.
Oh, of course.
So that's probably one of the reasons why she's so invested in the hula dancing. But she actually really does enjoy it. You see it when she does it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Back to the scene. I have one fun fact for you, actually.
Yes, please.
Because they always say, like, he's not a dog and stuff. In this scene where Stitch is, like, running around destroying stuff, he actually makes dog's noises. This like, not like purring, but he's... he does all the time. Luna does that daily. When she's, like, really excited. And she usually does it when we, like, play cuddle, like, being a little bit rough with each other. She's always like... It reminded me of that scene.
That's fun. So yeah, Stitch destroys San Francisco that you just built up, really recreating the monster movies that he saw a couple of minutes earlier.
Yeah,
or a
and
couple
also,
of hours
like,
earlier.
I mean, it's his purpose, destroy a city.
Yeah.
And we see Jumba watching him through, like, binoculars, and he's very amused, and then thinking, like, he doesn't have anything to destroy here. What does one do when you cannot do the thing that you are programmed to do? And he's really interested to see what happens with Stitch now. While Blakely just really likes his disguise and his wig,
Yeah.
and the mosquitoes really love him.
This is actually the first time we really see their dynamic, because Blakely is playing with his wig and looking at himself in the mirror, and Jumba's like, what do you do? Hey, give me that. I want to try that. And Blakely's like, no! Then they fight. I love their dynamics.
At that moment, I have to say, Blakely really pulls off that wig.
He does. So now Stitch goes through the books while Lilo is sleeping, and he finds the ugly duckling, and he wakes Lilo, and she tells him about the story, how the ugly duckling is looking for a family. In that book that only has 2 colored pages.
Yep.
I also thought, like, when he took it out, like, that's a really thick book for the ugly duckling story.
Yeah. You see it coming right in that moment. Stitch will take the book. No, he will run to somewhere and just
look for a family.
and just cry.
Yeah.
And wait for a family. And it will be devastating.
Yep.
You know that right in that moment.
And now Lilo shows him the king. She shows him Elvis, and we learn that the next morning Stitch can operate as a record player. And just when we have this fun scene of Stitch being the record player, Cobra Bubbles is back to tell Nani that she has to get another job. And Stitch is not making the best impression. He just throws a book at Cobra Bubbles.
Which was so funny. That was out of nowhere. It got me so hard.
Yeah,
I was laughing.
It was the first time he actually laughed.
Yeah, really out loud.
That was so fun. I love groundless violence. I love nonsensical, just like, he throws the book at him. This was so fun. And he keeps us cool.
Yep.
That is so great.
One of the glasses of his sunglasses is knocked out, and he just puts it back
This
on.
was
It's
such
like,
a great moment. It
next
caught
time I
me.
come,
It caught me sore.
I expect a new job from Nani and better manners from the dog. So now they try to achieve that.
And we get a montage.
Yes, Nani is
Montage
running around trying to get a job, and she always takes Lilo and Stitch along because, well, she has learned she can't leave them alone at home. And Lilo and Stitch, well, they dance. I mean, Lilo has this idea that the model citizen is Elvis, so now Stitch has to learn everything that Elvis did, so he has to learn how to dance.
And he's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, he's very smart, so
Yeah,
obviously.
he's playing the ukulele, which
sounds like an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And then she makes Stitch flirt with an old woman. That was weird.
She could use some loving.
That was an uncomfortable scene. Now kiss her. What?
Yes,
Yeah.
I actually really liked it when she was like, she could use some loving, and then he just sat down and just put his hand on hers, and the woman just lowered her newspaper and just looked to the front like,
what is happening?
And I mean, in the background we had Nani being like, yeah, concierging is my favorite thing to do. I love accepting calls.
Calling people. Yeah.
There actually was a deleted scene, because now we get this beach scene where Stitch is dressed up as Elvis. Nani wants to be a lifeguard. Elvis.
Stitch is coming the whole package. He
Yeah.
has the looks.
The outfit.
He has the outfit, which is really well done.
The glittery one.
Even the reflection of the glitter
On the faces of
is
the
on the
tourists.
faces of the
It's so
people.
perfect.
It is so great, and because it's so great, they all love it and want to do what they would do today too with their smartphones. They want to take a photo of him, and he gets overwhelmed. And I think the urges, the instinct of him gets the better of him,
Yeah.
and the
flashes are just too much for
yeah,
him.
he rips away the outfit, screams,
He destroys the guitar.
and the camera of one of the tourists.
Yeah, and
Not a
so
good look.
yeah, then the tourists run away and they leave the beach looking like mayhem has just happened here. The lifeguard, who looks just like a blonde version of Nani, just shakes her head and goes away. And yeah, this is how Stitch has caused mayhem. And there was a deleted scene here where Lilo went with him to the beach. On the way to the beach, she encountered some tourists going past her with cars. They were like, hey, kid, you know where the beach is? And she just pointed somewhere and she was like, Mahalo! And just left. And then there was a different one and she was like, hey, where's the beach? And she pointed in a different direction and he just left. Then she passes by a shop owner who's actually in Hawaiian, and they talk, and she's like, do the tsunami sirens, is there going to be a test run for them today? And she's like, yeah, it's going to happen today. And then she gets to the beach and they have these tsunami sirens, when she walks on the beach, you hear the tourists like, oh my god, look, a native, oh, that's so fun. And they start taking pictures of her, which is kind of a nice explanation of why she's taking pictures of them. She's treating them the exact same way they are treating her.
Oh.
And they are treating her like an attraction. And she's just like, attention tourists. And she explains about the tsunami sirens. Like, when the siren goes off, a tsunami is coming. Tourists, prepare to die. And then the tsunami sirens run off. It's just a test run, but obviously they don't know. So all the tourists just leave and just run away. And she's just being on the beach. And Cobra Bubbles comes along, and you think it's like a fun scene because all they left, but then Cobra Bubbles just stands there, and Lilo looks at him, and she like really dejectedly says like, if you'd live here, you'd understand. And it's really sad. And it like this even more shows this relation of Hawaiians to tourists. And I'm kind of sad that they cut it, also because the tourists prepared to die is hilarious. But also because it just...
Not the natives, they stay alive.
Yes.
I don't know. It would have brought a very...
I mean, it's a very different... It's a
very
different
specific vibe.
Yeah, it's a different topic that they kind of covered a little, but that would have been made stronger in the movie.
Yeah, it is a lot more subtle. It is
It would have been kind of hard for the really children to grasp. Like, they wouldn't understand.
That's true,
like, it's everyone else in the world who is not living on an island would have been like, what?
I mean, it was like 2.5 minutes that, like, on a movie scope, especially in animated movies, which are not that long, it is a lot of time for a scene that wasn't necessary for the plot. So I can see why they cut it. But I do think it would have added in another layer.
It would have.
I mean, like I said in the beginning, they were like, we have to make this cross between the life of the beautiful island that has a lot of tourism, but also the life of the natives that is very different from what the tourists perceive when they are there. But yeah, the movie is not about that. So anyway, that scene was deleted, but you can still see it in rough animation on YouTube if you want to look that up. You can find it when you just Google tourists prepare to die. And there you can also actually find the scene with Pudge the fish. So yeah, anyway, we are back at the beach where they are devastated because everything is destroyed. And David comes and tries to cheer them up with surfing. And now we get the song Hawaiian Roller Coaster where they surf. Nani is still a bit worried, but it is a really cute scene. They seem like a family just having fun on the sea.
We really learn in this moment the character of this David guy. He's not only the one that fancies Nani, but he tries to really support her.
Yeah.
He tries to be there for them. Which brings me to the real point that you made, Fries, earlier. Why isn't he like standing up and being like the babysitter, looking after Lilo while Nani is taking care of other stuff? He would be such a valuable member of the community instead of just being like, he is a valuable member still. He is a good guy, but he could do so much more.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really learn that much about him, but we only see him surfing or working at the luau, so we can assume that during the day he doesn't have a job, but in the evening he entertains the tourists.
Yeah.
So he would have the time.
I think, actually, oh my god, I can't believe I'm doing it again. A drama response. This time from Nani. Everyone kind of has this feeling at one point in their life that they are a burden to other people. But I think for Nani, it's a little more heavy because she is now like, I have to take care of my sister. This is my responsibility. And I can't date anyone. I can't take anyone's help. I need to make it on my own. And maybe that's why she doesn't ask for help.
So you think if David would come and like, hey, I could take care of that, I could lift that burden off of you, she would like, no, that's okay. I can take care of myself. What do you think?
Probably, yeah. I can see her in that way because she's very strong, at least she tries to be for her sister. And I think she wants to be seen as that strong woman who can make it.
Who can do it.
So I can actually picture her saying no.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's a deleted scene we can make up.
Yeah.
So, let's write some fanfiction.
Oh, that is what you call that.
I'm pretty sure there are fanfictions in there somewhere.
With Stitch and...
No! Oh my god!
That took a wrong turn.
He has 4 arms.
I need more wine.
So, we have this beautiful beach scene of them, just having fun on the beach. We see when they are trying to build sandcastles, or they're building sandcastles, Stitch is off to the side, like mirroring what they are doing, being a bit sad, because he sees them as a family and no one is engaging him, and it's a bit... The aliens are watching them and are being called for an update, and Jumba is... Why did I write Humby instead of Jumba?
Me?
Jumba then is very weirded out because Stitch in the end willingly goes into the water when he was a bit scared on the surfboard earlier, and then they are surfing together and he hangs on to Nani's leg actually, and it's kind of cute how he's like, oh my god, I'm scared, and Nani is also like, oh, what's going on with that dude, and then he starts enjoying it.
But it's the first time she actually smiles at him.
Yeah.
She's like not really fond of him throughout the whole experience so far.
Yeah.
And then she smiles. Sorry, it got
But
me.
then Jumba has to join the party and drag Stitch and Lilo down, and David and Nani have to rescue her, and to Nani it looked like Stitch was like dragging her down, so obviously she's kind of mad. And David saves Stitch from drowning them. And Cobra Bubbles is watching them, like Nani talks to him then, and he urges her to do what is best for Lilo, even though it will come with taking herself out of the picture.
In that moment, the movie really surprised me. Because I thought when David came out of the water with Stitch in hand, I was really expecting her, Nani, to like, why did you save him? Let him go. He dragged her down and really tried to put the blame on Stitch, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, she just checked if Lilo was hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they still think for some godforsaken reason that he is a dog, then they would know that he didn't do it like voluntarily. It was instinct. Yeah. I wouldn't blame my dog.
On the other hand, dog can swim.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still questioning why they still think he's the dog.
So is that the moment when the aliens, where they get the call, you are relieved?
I think not yet. They got the first call now where it was like, what's going on? Why
okay. Do
and then
update.
they get sent away over the sea by
Stitch biting the oxygen
tank, right? Yeah, but now funny. Cobra Bubbles actually tells Nani that he will come to take Lilo in the morning, which is kind of sad. And I was thinking like, they just had a great day at sea. Why was he there? But yeah, I mean, Nani was supposed to go looking for a job, and he came and just saw them surfing and having fun. And then as Nani and Lilo are going home, David talks to Stitch for a second and implies that it was Stitch's fault that all of this is going down, and that Lilo and Stitch are going to, Nani and Stitch are going to have to separate now. So
Nani
Stitch feels really bad. What did I say?
Nani and Stitch.
Whatever.
It's okay. There are a lot of names.
And now we get this beautiful scene of Nani and Lilo in the hammock, where they cuddle and talk. And they sing. And the song that they sing is Aloha Oe, which is, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is a song that I actually learned about through K-pop. Because I think it was last year, a girl group called Cherry Bullet made a song called that name, and they took the melody and used it in their chorus, which did not go down very well with the community, because there's a lot of cultural appropriation going on there, and it was a really happy summer song when the song is actually a sad song and has a very sad history. Are you okay?
I'm really surprised about you finding out about this song like this, because I thought this would be a very, very famous song.
Did you know it before?
Yeah, Aloha.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Of course. I heard it before. Of course, I never known that it would be a very sad song. But
you don't know the German version of it?
There's a German version of it.
like a mixed one. My mom actually sang it one time, so that's how I came to know it. It goes like Aloha sagt, dass ich dich eines Tages wiedersehe. So I always knew it was about like parting ways. And then I saw the movie and I was like, no, I know what's happening.
It's very sad. Yeah.
I didn't understand like the context with Cobra when he told her he would take Nani, but then they sang the song and my little bitch ass was like, oh no.
Maybe that's the reason why I know the song, but not the whole meaning of it or whole text. I didn't know there was a German version of it. I heard of the phrase Aloha along with the melody. Anyway, so I was surprised you never heard of that before.
Maybe I have, but never really got into it that much. But then when that happened, I kind of researched this. It was written by the last monarch of Hawaii, Queen Lili. Oh God, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Liliuokalani, and it was written as a love and farewell song in 1878, and it is more famous from 20 years later because legend has it that she wrote it while being imprisoned in her palace during the annexation of Hawaii by the US.
Okay.
It's not true. Like I said, it was written way earlier, but it was kind of re-released, or she sang it again 20 years later. She kind of used it as a farewell to her citizens, and when they tried to get the monarchy into power again when the US tried to annex Hawaii. to oppose this annexation, but it didn't work. So the Hawaii became part of the US, and so it was kind of a farewell and an apology to her citizens that she couldn't do her duty as the regent. And yeah, it was a farewell song saying goodbye. So it's really sad in this context. And after that scene, we see Lilo going to bed and telling Stitch how her family died. And she asks Stitch about his family and tells him she'd raise him as their baby, but that it's also okay if he wants to leave. And so he does with the book. And he is with the book in the woods, and he learns to say, "I'm lost." And it's really sad.
Crying every time. Sorry.
It is really fucking sad. And now we go to the shore where Blakely and Jumba get washed ashore. And now they get the call where it says they are fired because the councilwoman has now lost her patience. And they are prison bound, actually. And Jumba is happy about that because now he can do things his way.
Why? What the fuck is happening? Even before, why would he help Blakely? Why would he do his thing on this planet? Blakely doesn't seem to have any authority over over the scientist's ass. So why would he do this job?
But I think he has hopes that maybe his prison sentence gets revoked when he captures Experiment 626.
I actually don't think...
he can create anything he wants. He can just continue what he wanted.
I actually think he just wants him back because he said this is his greatest achievement in his career. I just honestly think he wants him back.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like it's his greatest
Right. I mean,
thing.
he never says he just wants to really destroy him. He just wants to take him apart and reassemble him.
Like, all
and
throughout
deploy
the movie.
him where he belongs and can destroy stuff, right?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay.
Okay. All throughout the movie, he's just so fascinated by him. Like you said, in the scene in the prison where they come to get him, and he just turns around. He escaped. He's so happy. He's so fucking happy. I just think he really loves him for being his greatest achievement.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
I didn't see why he would continue, why he would help to get him back. But you're right. Okay. You made sense of it. Thank you. Thank you. That's very important for me.
In this scene, we also learn that Captain Gantu is now leaving to finish the mission.
Space Shark.
Space Shark, right? And Jumba finds Stitch, and Stitch tells him that he's waiting for his family, and Jumba tells him that he doesn't have one. And he tells him that he'll take him apart. What the fuck? And Stitch just wants to be loved and runs away. And Lilo is very sad that Stitch is gone. She tells Nani that he left, and Nani explains about change and how it's sometimes better. And then David comes and he says he found Nani a job. So now Nani is like, "I'm gonna leave. Please stay home. Don't do anything stupid."
Can I actually ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
We see every time that Cobra turns up, it's 7:15 in the morning. Does this time have some relevance in like the making of the movie or something?
Not that I know
Or
of.
like the number 7 and 15?
I don't think
Okay.
that 7:15.
I have not read anything about that, no.
I was just wondering. Maybe they just wanted him to make him like the very punctual guy.
Maybe it's because when you turn 7:15 around, it's 51 and 7
L.
or something. L,
51. Elia 51.
Elia.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Here. I'm sorry.
So now Nani has left with David. Stitch is running to Lilo while Jumba is chasing him. And they fight and the house suffers a lot. And this scene was originally way more violent, but it was changed because test audiences didn't like it. Lilo, while they are chasing and destroying the house, calls Cobra. He's on his way. And then when it turns out that everything is going to explode because there's this plasma cannon that now has a carrot stuck in it and is going to explode, Blakely just takes Lilo out of the house and runs with her to make sure that she survives the explosion. And Nani arrives just as Cobra is putting Lilo in the car. And there's this really dramatic scene of like Nani trying to fight it, and Lilo hears it all and just sneaks out of the car into the jungle. And
There's this great quote from Cobra in that moment. Maybe you need her more than she needs you, or something like that.
No, I think it was. It is very clear that you need her more than she needs you.
I've always thought about Child Protection Service being very cruel because ripping apart families cannot be the idea of it. But at that moment, I realized, of course, there's more here because siblings are important. But if Lilo can have a better life and could prosper somewhere else, then she has to go in a foster family, as weird as it sounds to me. But this really opened up for me in that moment.
Exactly, that's what I meant earlier when I said that you could see it from both sides.
Yeah.
I know it always seems cruel to us because most of us do have good family, like
a solid family structure
and stuff. And we want them to stay together because they love each other very clearly. But love is not enough to raise a child. Yeah. That's just it. You need a home, food, and
you need
clothes
money.
and stuff.
Just like you can't beat around the bush about it. You need money to raise a child.
Yeah, and you need safety. A kid needs safety to actually grow up. And
structure.
And that's everything that Nani can't really give her because she also didn't get it until she was an adult. She isn't really an adult yet. Like
no.
She had to skip the last few years of her fucking puberty.
She tries to be a strong, independent woman, but let's face it,
she's just overwhelmed with all the responsibility.
There are limits.
But so Lilo leaves the car and runs away.
Stitch finds her. She's mad at him, and then Captain Gantu captures them both. Nani sees it. Stitch manages to escape, actually, out of that capsule thing. And Nani wants him to talk. And when he talks, she just slaps him.
They just won't let him talk in that scene.
Yeah.
And that is the moment where Nani, for the first time, really and undeniably, sees an alien and just goes with it. And this one is not only one that tries to blend in or tries to be a dog of some sort, but this one is like 10 stories tall.
Yeah.
Because
she does scream and like look horrified.
I don't know. Maybe he can change sizes or something, but in that scene he seems a lot bigger than before.
Especially also bigger than when he sits in his own spaceship.
Yeah.
Gantu looks fucking tiny in a spaceship.
Yeah, he does.
I was wondering later because he puts Lilo and Stitch in this glass capsule and attaches it on the outside. And I'm like, why on the outside? Later I see that he is in his cockpit, not even enough space for himself.
Yeah.
And he sees the little girl. And at first I was like, when he sees her and sees that he has taken both of them, he's like, oh my God, sorry, I will put you out. I will just... But no, he's like, nah, you have even a little snack.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is wrong
Lower
with
species.
You? I guess so.
Completely said no, they're dumb.
Yeah, I mean it's like when you get when you buy yourself a snake and then put a mouse in there, you have a little snack.
Probably.
If that mouse could talk to me and form sentences.
But Lilo didn't really talk, did she?
Well, she didn't, but you gotta see, like, for us, we are not used to animals talking, but they know humans do talk, but they still see them as a lower species, so he's probably she just doesn't fucking care.
Yeah.
That's right. That brings an interesting question. How would we see animals if they could really talk? If they could form sentences and show emotions
I think it's safe to say we'd all be vegetarians.
No.
Anyway, Nani wants him to talk, and Jumba captures him. And then Nani asks them to bring Lilo back, but Plakely, Jumba, and Stitch... No, actually, just Plakely and Jumba say they can't. And Stitch tells her Ohana. And he persuades Jumba to get Lilo just by saying something in alien language. And Jumba's like, okay, fine.
He's
very persuasive. And yeah, now we get the big showdown in the sky. Like
bonding moment.
Yes.
Family bonding moment. Found family
They go
stuff.
to the big spaceship that Plakely and Jumba arrived in, and they go into the sky. And this is the showdown that originally was a plane.
At some point, Stitch jumps out of his actual spaceship and jumps onto the other spaceship, and then crawls back to where Lilo is held and punches her out of the glass. And then they stand on this little capsule and they talk to each other like very normally. Yes. And as someone who has fallen out of the sky before, I can tell you this is not possible. I mean, I've never stood on a spaceship and talked to someone. But you cannot, in this environment, talk to one another very normally. You have to scream at each other at the top of your lungs. But we see that this spaceship has a very, very weird and very specific function because the two turbines can turn that way, so they
face the ship.
The fire of it crosses, and everyone who stands there is just like, we have to leave now.
Shot.
And then they leave.
Yeah, Stitch falls down. And the frog helps him to escape Gantu's shooting. And then Stitch hijacks a truck and drives it into a volcano. Makes it explode. It throws him back onto Gantu's spaceship. He throws Gantu out and saves Lilo.
Was a little deranged there with the events happening.
It's a lot. But I mean, it's a climax of a movie.
Yeah,
It's a lot. And then the spaceship lands in water right behind David. And then they ask David to bring him to shore. And he's like, I'm going to have to make 2 trips. And then they arrive at shore. Stitch gets taken into custody by the councilwoman who has arrived. But he suddenly talks normally. And he's even like polite. Like, can I say goodbye? And she's like, yes, thank you. And she is really taken aback by that. And then Stitch tells her that they are his family. It's so cute. And yeah, Cobra Bubbles is there and okay with all of this. And now we find out that they actually know each other from Roswell.
Ah, yes, you had hair back then.
Yes. Why are you looking like that?
Roswell is 60 years ago. He should be dead.
Well, yeah, maybe he was really, really young. I don't know. Maybe he's an alien, actually.
I mean,
it's called Roswell 47 for a reason.
We already mentioned that he was there and he was at the CIA.
No, you tell me that he's in some kind of experiment that prolongs his life.
Like maybe that, but I was more like going for they probably got a lot from alien technology.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Who is to say he doesn't have something like the Flash thingy, but for like lifespan? I don't know.
Okay.
Just every morning looking in the mirror like.
Yeah.
No, I'm 40 again.
I mean, if you just forget every year of your life, have you lived them then?
Yes. Yes, you have. Ask amnesia patients. They would be like, I can't tell you. I don't remember.
So Stitch is now sentenced to a life in exile to be served on Earth with his family. And they will check in on them, which will have to be explained to the council. And yeah, now we learn actually that Cobra Bubbles told the mosquitoes are endangered so Earth doesn't get destroyed.
Which is, as I told you earlier, a very, very good payoff
it's
for
good
this
payoff,
thing.
yeah.
Such a good joke.
It's very well done that they tie it up in the end.
And I also like that it doesn't get overplayed. Like, they could have gone with mosquitoes all through the whole movie, but we only have it in the beginning. And then we have this one scene in the middle where he's like, oh, mosquitoes like me. And then all the mosquitoes just swarm to him. And then we forget about it again until it gets mentioned in the end again. It's great.
It's really well placed.
Yeah.
It's very well balanced.
It's so good.
And now we get the epilogue. We see them live together. Stitch is basically being a mom. He does the fire shows with David. He does laundry. For Halloween, they carve pumpkins. There's Christmas. Stitch is now doing the hula with Lilo. And they visit Graceland. And then over the credits, we get some more photos from their life. Actually, we see them, how Stitch is like guarding one of the turtles with a leaf so it is in the shadow until it gets to the water. He did it before Moana did.
Oh.
And this is how the movie ends. Although, no, there in the credits, we have this horrible version of Can't Help Falling in Love by some pop singer. That really wasn't necessary, but okay.
But it's a good reminder that this is the credits now. They had nothing for you to wait for.
You're not missing anything. Just leave.
Just leave.
I don't know who I picked that up from, but I have this weird hobby. When I watch a movie, I actually like to see the ending and see the credits because I'm waiting for someone who is named like me in the credits. If there's a person named
and because of
Stefan,
you, I also started doing that. But my name is never in the American movies, so
it's very rare for me too. I'm mostly like, oh, there's a Steven. I'm settled with that.
Close enough.
Yeah, I'm close enough. But on the other hand, there's so many people involved with making a movie. I mean, I can pay respect to them and wait for my name to come up.
I can do 5 to 7 minutes of credit when the music is good, and there is maybe like a secret after credit scene,
right?
Which I Google actually before I go to the cinema. Like, is there an after credit scene?
Do I get payoff
yes
if I sit through this?
Yeah, actually,
I have seen Matrix 4. At that moment I do not recommend seeing Matrix 4.
That could be a recommendation. Not seeing Matrix 4.
I have a better recommendation, and it's about movies. Anyway, so when we were in cinema, we saw the credits rolling, and one was like, please, can we go now? And I was like, no, maybe there's a post-credit scene. Let's wait. And she's like, I'm going to look up if there's a post-credit scene. 2 minutes later, I know now there is a post-credit scene. Okay, we're staying. Shall I tell you what's happening in the post-credit scene? You will not like it. I know. But I want to see it for myself.
It's part of the movie.
Please, can we leave? And then the post-credit scene rolled, and I was like, so that was fucking waste of time. But I've seen it, and I can tell now I've seen all and know that this is shit.
Okay. Anyway, Lilo and Stitch. What did you guys think of the movie?
This was very enjoyable. This was it really surprised me. I think I really missed out on the last
I think it has
couple
its
of
very
years.
own charm. If you like,
It does. It really does.
If the big musicals and the I don't know, the Disney Renaissance is your favorite period, which it is for me, but I still really love this movie for the family dynamics and everything. I can still see how this probably doesn't make your favorite, like your top 10 of Disney movies, because it is very different from what you would probably be used to or what you would prefer when it comes to Disney movies. But also it's from the era, I mean, we call it the second dark era of Disney, but some people call it the experimental era of Disney. And I think that's a better name for it, because there is a lot of experiments going on now. And I mean, we had it with
Experiment 262.
I mean, we had it with Dinosaur, the first completely CGI movie.
And Atlantis with being the first of having a really like weapon conflict heavy movie.
Yeah, and then we have
actiony.
and then we have The Emperor's New Groove, the very first buddy comedy that totally relies on humor instead of I don't know, music and big plots.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one of those experimental movies. And watching those movies again, or even watching some of them for the first time, I get to really appreciate this era. And I like this movie more now than I did as a kid. I didn't really appreciate it as a kid.
How about you, Fries?
Well, it's still my second favorite Disney movie. What do you want me to say?
So it's not your favorite, I see.
Well, no, that's Atlantis. Yeah, I've always loved it, and I loved it even more once I could understand all the humor.
Yeah.
All the dark humor.
I actually can see how this movie does appeal to older people more than to younger people.
Lilo is such a mood.
She is.
Sorry. No, I just love everything about this movie. You will see when you ask me about a lowlight, because god damn it, that's hard. I no, really, I just love it so much.
Okay.
But again, I could see this movie as one of these movies where when you show it to the kid or show it to a kid, it's like it would go over your head. You cannot actually comprehend all of this.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you're like, I can handle this shit. And later you realize like, oh wow, I've seen this and I'm okay. In this movie, there are so many mature motifs. It feels like an eternity that we could talk about this movie, because it is so...
It is so dense with,
it is so well made
with themes.
Yeah,
a lot of details you can appreciate and stuff. Like it's really I think it's a suitable movie for like every generation, and it's a good movie for like growing up and like rewatching, because you can find some stuff as a kid, like the family dynamics and how every kid at some point in their life wants a pet, like desperately. And then when you get older, you get the friend stuff, like when you're in school and you have your first like fights with your friends and shit. Nah? That's something you appreciate more than, or like being the outcast or something. And then when you're older, you get all the humor and stuff, and then you find something every time you watch it, and then that makes it special to me.
And that's probably the reason why this movie has such a cult following and why it was so popular.
Such a cult. Look at you, Japan.
But no, actually, I'm wondering myself how this could... I mean, I see how this could be... or how this is a great family movie, but I don't really understand why this has such a great following, why so much came of it. The series that came out of it cannot grasp the same way.
No, probably
No.
not. I mean, it is all about, everything that came later on is mostly about Stitch. But arguably, the great part about this movie is Lilo and Nani.
Yeah, that is true.
And I think that's why everything that came after that is probably more geared towards the kids. And I think that's why this makes such a big empire.
Yeah.
Because, kids buy everything or get their parents to buy everything.
Go to your parents and say, I want this.
Yes.
I need this.
Just like Lilo went and was like, actually, she did not go and go like, I want a dog. Nani was it. But anyway.
I think we never saw that point where she says to Lilo.
No, that's what I meant when I just said that.
It's just the time jump, right?
There's a time jump, yeah.
In the one moment we see Nani listening in on
Lilo's
Lilo
wish.
making the wish, and in the next moment, we see them both at the dog shelter. This is such a great thing that they did not show. Oh, I think she needs a dog, or how would you like to have a dog? This is the connection you make as an audience, and this is great. Although it's not a great thing to.
And also the fact that we
Very
know
hard.
that she doesn't have that much time. She only has 3 days now to kind of make this work. So Nani's immediate action is like she hears that, okay, next day we're going to the dog shelter. It's such a quick reaction of her.
Like, I need to make this work.
Yeah.
Somehow, I'm doing everything in my power.
Yeah.
I'm trying everything.
I'm wondering because I didn't see her being that pressured by the deadline she got.
It's the anxiety inside.
I think we don't see it that
You
much
think?
because we seldomly see Nani alone without Lilo, and she obviously she doesn't want Lilo to see that she is stressed out.
Yeah, that's true.
I think a good point that shows it a little is on the evening when they come home from the whole restaurant debacle.
Yeah.
And
At the luau, you mean?
Yeah, the luau.
Okay.
Lilo is showing Stitch around and stuff, and Nani just goes straight to couch, being like,
Yeah.
"Oh God, please!"
She just sits
let
back,
me
please
die.
let-
I'm
yeah.
so tired. Like she has to do so much, like
Yeah.
getting up early in the morning to make breakfast and stuff, and care for her sister, and then work in the night trying to find a job and stuff. She's probably very, very tired and stressed, but she tries not to let it show, so she can be a strong person for her sister to rely on.
I mean, we see her literally sheltering Lilo from the truth when she tells her that she quit the job because her boss was a vampire.
Mm.
She really just doesn't want to show her the severity of the situation.
I think she wants to give her the childhood that was kind of ripped.
Yeah.
Like she
This
had
is so beautiful.
those early years. Nani had those early years. You could see in
Yeah.
the picture that she was already
a
older.
teenager, yeah.
Yeah. So she wants to give Lilo that like, be a child.
Yeah.
Try to enjoy it. It's like the most carefree time in your life.
Anyway, one of the other things that I have, looking back now, really much respect for the movie not doing is like we see never a scene where Lilo is holding up the photo and saying like, "Mom and Dad, if you could be here, that would be so great." We have none of this because this would have been so placative, so what is it called?
So obviously tear-jerking.
And
Pandering
well
to the audience.
and well tread path that we always have. Like, I wish you could be here, and none of this is here. This movie is so fresh,
Refreshing.
so refreshing in so many respects. I really.
I think, yeah, the more
really
you talk about it, the more you start to appreciate it.
I
It's
really
fascinating.
regretting seeing this movie not earlier, but. On the
On the
other
other hand, maybe if you'd seen it earlier, maybe you wouldn't have been able to appreciate all of it.
because here I am
Dissecting it.
I am forced to talk about it and analyzing it and talking something good.
So now with that,
This movie.
I think we have arrived at highlight time.
What? Now? So early?
So give me a highlight and a lowlight about this movie. Who wants to start?
I like to see a challenge. So, and we already heard that this is a challenge for you. So please, what is the lowlight of this movie in your opinion?
Well, for most movies I've seen with you here, I actually found something in like the making or animating or stuff, but this will go down like Atlantis. I can only give you a low point emotion-wise, which is obviously the part where Stitch leaves and goes into the forest and sits there like, I'm lost. I just start crying every fucking time I've seen this movie so many times. This is my lowlight because the only
Wait, this
low
is
I
a
have
lowlight because it evokes.
it hits in the feeling.
But it wouldn't be so great if it wouldn't hit in the fields.
But it hurts. It still hurts.
boy, you know, I got the feel.
Okay, you want another one? Then when David tells him it was all kind of
Your
going
fault,
okay
yeah.
until you existed, basically. Which, I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but still hurts to hear that.
I actually thought your lowlight would be David, not in general, because David is a great role. He's a great supporting role, but he could support more.
He could be the babysitter.
It could be more. right?
Yeah, but he's also very,
I love
very
this.
young. Nani,
very young,
he and like I see it this way. He and Nani are probably like
The same
age,
roughly, yeah.
And but we always see how much more mature Nani is because she had to be. David, on the other hand,
We know nothing about David.
no, but he is treated, and I think he is shown by Disney as like the
It is
the
assumed,
happy-go-lucky.
it is assumed that he is very lighthearted.
Yeah,
so,
like
yeah.
the guy who was popular at school and stuff, and he could really enjoy his teenage years. He is not like that grown up right now, so he has those deep moments, and I think that's even better because you can appreciate those when you see him like usually being so happy and stuff.
I tried.
So, I love David.
So actually, for you, there is no real downside in this movie. Yeah?
That's
Okay.
fine.
That's
the
completely
highlight?
fine.
Like, even the voices are so similar to the German ones. I didn't have any problems here.
Because, well, for the audience of this podcast, as you know, most of us learned or grew up with these movies in German. Usually, for this podcast too, we watch the movies in English. So, yeah.
It's oftentimes very hard for me to adjust listening to the English voices, especially if they're very, very different from the German ones. But in this, it was only like Lilo's, but I loved the voice acting.
Yeah.
But usually they're not. Usually they're trying really to get voice talents in the other languages that are very similar to the English one to capture the same tone, right?
That's okay, but if I'm like really attached to a character, that's my downfall. It was a little bit hard in the beginning of Atlantis because Kida's
Really?
German voice is so deep, and the
I
English
see.
voice was so
Okay.
much higher. The first few minutes with her, I said like, okay, it's going to be fine. Don't fixate on it.
Okay, to summarize for you, there's no
No.
highlight for
What's
Sorry,
the
I can't give you
highlight?
one. Well, the highlight, I already kind of spoiled it. The highlight is my friends have to be punished. It's my favorite scene. It's my favorite joke. I love it so much.
I can see why. Yeah, I can see why.
But also, there is one point in the German version that's not the same because of voice acting. Pleakley's voice actor in German is very funny, and in the German version, the first time he talks about mosquitoes, he said he's fascinated by them. And in German, he has this great way of pronouncing his faszinierend.
Oh, I see.
That sounds like not just fascinating.
Which sounds a bit aroused.
A little.
I see.
Yeah, so that's my high and low light.
I want to break sequence here. What's your high and low light, Annie?
Oh my god!
I have never been second.
Anarchy!
I want to come last.
My highlight is Nani.
Nani.
Okay, that one got me. That one got me.
I love Nani, everything about it. I love the design. She looks like an actual real woman with like thighs, and actually like it looks like she has some
A human?
like a human. She has a waist that is not like you could reach around it with your hands. She looks wonderful. I love her voice actress. I love the way she acts around Lilo. I love the way she acts around David. I love the way she just is. I love her. Nani is top notch. And my low light, it's hard to say low light because it is necessary for the plot, but I don't really care for the space scenes, like the beginning and then the calls from the councilwoman and stuff like that. I don't really care about that. I don't really care about the whole Jumba Blakely stuff, to be honest. Like, I'm here for the family stuff, although I do also like the rest. But the space stuff would probably be my low light.
Okay, that's fair.
So, Baja, how about you?
My highlight, by far, is the depiction of Lilo as a realistic kid or realistic girl too, at that age, at that like 6. Like, she knows of the term broken family, and she knows that there's someone coming from Child Protection Service, but she doesn't care. She has her own head, and there are something that are more important in her life and to her than every step we have to take for the child protection service guy to say, like, this is a working family. She has to make her friends suffer for what everything what they have done to her. Like, this is such a believable child. This is very great. On the other hand, my lowlight is this very weird tied up ending. Suddenly aliens are completely normal and completely like, okay, we are going with this. Yeah, sure. They are other species in the galaxy. This is okay now. Yeah, cool. we can work with that. Okay. And nobody can. I mean, in the end, I thought, like, this is just locally. Only the 3 people knows about, or 4 people with the CIA agent with Cobra know about aliens, and everything is okay. But no, in the epilogue, you see Stitch using his other set of arms too. Like, this is obviously an alien. and the evil scientist, the stupid scientist, even plays Santa.
Yep.
Oh God, this, I don't know. This threw me off a bit.
Understandable,
This would be my lowlight of the movie. It doesn't make sense. On the other hand, it's just a movie. Just a kids movie. It's just an animated movie, and it's there to entertain us. But yeah, it's my lowlight.
By the way, what you mentioned about Elvis right now, Elvis is very popular on Hawaii. 3 of his movies were made on Hawaii. He played a lot of concerts there. He's just very popular.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And age-wise, it also makes sense that the parents of Nani and Lilo could have been Elvis fans.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know
said, she does the hula maybe because her mother did it. So maybe she likes Elvis because she just has a lot of records because the parents liked him. And she probably associates listening to Elvis with her parents.
Yeah, to feel near them and stuff, right?
It makes absolute sense to me, yeah. But yeah,
we're making sense for everything.
But yeah, it is played to an extreme with Lilo because Nani would probably also be the same. But we don't see her care that much about it as we do with Lilo.
So please make a case for the aliens now.
No.
Why this is normal?
I said I don't like the space stuff.
why this is normal out of the... Well,
it is
Stitch
not.
is an alien. You can't have...
He is also space stuff, that's right.
It's Lilo and... I don't like
it's very interesting that in the movie Lilo and Stitch, where Stitch is one of the most popular things that like made it this big in Japan, none of us mentioned Stitch in this highlight section. Yeah. But I mean, he's cute, but I just really prefer the human characters. Not because he's an alien, but because the human characters are so good. Anyway, what would you rate this movie on a scale from 0 to 10?
9 out of 10, definitely. What about you, Fries?
Well, since Atlantis as my first movie got like 1 million out of 10, I can probably give it 100. No, but if Atlantis would be a 10 out of 10, this would be like a solid...
You can give the same rating twice. I have given like 6 or 7 10s right now, so...
I actually need to differentiate.
Okay.
So it's a 9.9 or 9.8.
But we only go 0.5.
No.
Or...
Stop
not anymore.
What is this shit?
No.
I can flip this table, but I don't want to damage all the technology.
No, okay, then it would be a 10. Then it would be a 10. If I can only go...
Thank you for abiding by the rules.
9.5 is too low.
Okay.
That's for my number 3.
Okay, so for you it's a 10?
It's a 10 then.
For you it's a 9?
Yeah.
For me it's an 8.5. I really like it a lot. But the space stuff, like, I made this rating before we started really talking about it. I mean, now thinking about it and like having delved into it, maybe I would even give it a 9. But I think I want to go with the spontaneous one that I got when I watched the movie, and that's an 8.5. So now
coming to an end of this episode of this podcast,
yes.
We usually ask ourselves if we have some kind of
What is happening here?
recommendations.
Why is it taking over? I don't like this.
I'm scared.
So Annie, have you anything to recommend to the listeners?
I recommend you go fuck yourself.
Oh, come on!
No,
Props to you if that stays in the final cut.
This escalated so quickly.
Do you want to do the highlight on?
No, it's okay. We're gonna take this. My recommendation, if you have a PlayStation or a PC, play Horizon Zero Dawn. And then also play Horizon Forbidden West, but don't tell me anything about it because I have only played it for like 2 hours or 3 hours so far.
I think you cannot play Horizon Forbidden West on the PC yet.
But I mean, you can play Zero Dawn. It's very good, and the story is incredible. I love the gameplay. I love the game. It's my favorite video console, whatever game. It's absolutely fantastic. It's even better than Sims, and that's saying a lot coming from me.
That's fair. I actually want to give a recommendation in the form of a shout out. If you like the movie Encanto, which I'm sure you did.
I love it so much.
We all love that. There are a lot of good artists, a lot of great artists doing fan art. But especially if you are a Camilo fan, I am just the person for you. So you can find them on Instagram. They're called Shrubbish _ just the way you would speak it, SHRUBBISH and _ Yeah, look at their art. It's amazing. They're so talented, and I'm sure you will love it.
Okay, great. I'm gonna check that out, definitely. Lasha, how about you? What would you like to recommend?
So I got myself a recommendation from a work colleague, and he showed me to the beautiful works of Tom Cardy. So Tom Cardy is an Australian producer of short songs. His work is really great. It is every video is so funny. His songs are very stupid, but so funny. You can check out Tom Cardy on YouTube when you want like the multimedia with the older sound and picture coming along, which is very great. Or you check out him on Spotify. Tom Cardy. It's really, really great songs. We rocked out on them before we made this.
Got the mood going.
Yeah. Masterpieces like, have you checked your butthole?
Bibbidi bubbidi butthole. So his recordings are very, very entertaining.
Okay, great. So with that, we say goodbye for today. Thank you guys so much for being my guests on this episode. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had too.
Yes, of course we
did.
Great. So I hope you have you on as guests for different episodes coming up. And until then, we say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Mice and Princesses. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't hesitate to let us or anybody else know that you did. One way you can do that is by rating and reviewing us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, or elsewhere. And if you'd like to tell us in person or leave some other feedback, please find us on Instagram at Of Mice and Princesses, or find our email address in the episode description. As I already said in the intro, this show has now been around for 2 years, and I am very thankful for each and every one of you who downloads and listens to our episodes. I kind of wish we'd get a bit more feedback, but it still always makes me happy when I see the listener numbers and locations, seeing that people from all over the world are tuning into this lovely little show. Speaking of numbers, as of right now when I'm recording this, we have almost reached 2,000 downloads. That is huge. And that, and the fact that it's our anniversary, is reason enough for me to finally reveal the little surprise that I was teasing on our Instagram. As a thank you to our listeners, I'll be hosting a little giveaway. If you know me, you know I'm a crafty gal, and I have been cross-stitching and creating some really cute keychains of the princesses and my favorite female characters. And I will be giving them to you guys for free. All you need to do is follow our Instagram at Of Mice and Princesses, where I will post the announcement and some further instructions by the end of the week. One of those instructions, I would like to know what your favorite episode has been so far. So think about that, maybe listen back to some of your favorites and have your answer ready when the giveaway starts. I hope you're looking forward to that, and of course to our next episode on Treasure Planet, for which I'll be joined by a guest who hasn't been on in a few episodes, and I'm glad to have them back again. And of course, I'm also looking forward to having you with us again on our magical trip down Disney Lane. Bye!